Let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about the hood. Let's talk about them gangsters. Come on. That's in them penitentiaries for twisting their fingers. Let's talk about the hoovers, the Pyrus from looters. Let's talk about having some truces with trays and dudes. Come on. Let's talk about the racist shit and crooked politics. The government don't care about niggas, they love immigrants. Let's talk about my past. Let's talk about my pain. It's so hard to maintain wearing red flame. Let's talk about my thug. You know we had them drugs. Let's talk about that ghetto girl that betrayed my love. Let's talk about Farrakhan. Let's talk about the Bible. Let's talk about the Quran. Let's talk about Elijah. Let's talk about my daddy, my candy-coated caddy. Let's talk about my mama happy that she chose to have it. Let's talk about the kids. Let's talk about the blues. Tune into the Let's Talk Shop with that old school.
Hey, what's up, family? Welcome back to the channel. We talking shop with old school. Today I want to do something a little different because I see a lot of young brothers and people in general are going out to get their CDL. And one of my partners said, man, do something on. You've been a truck driver, man. You was a truck driver for damn near 2 decades. Give us some of your expertise on the trucking business. Okay, cool. Here's what I'd say. Before you go out and obtain your CDL, know exactly what it is, what you want to do. Know what lane you want to get into. You got dry van, you got reefer, you got box trucks, which you don't need a CDL for. You have car hauling, and you have fuel jobs. I've done them all. Now, it's just like when you go to college. When you go to college, a fool will go to college not knowing what he wants to major in. If you know what you want to major in, you get everything out the way. Case in point. Let's say you don't know what you want to go to school for. You enroll in a junior college or whatnot. And then you get your electives out the way. And then you figure out, hey, I want to do this. Then there's a different set of electives or prerequisites that you got to start all over with. And it's basically discouraging. You don't want to do that. So when you get into the trucking business, know exactly what lane you want to go in. Now, stay away from lease programs. These companies that tell you can own your truck, stay away from those because they are robber. It's straight rob. They robbing you. That's all they're going to do is rob you. You're going to go all over the country. Now, I'm going to give you a great example. When I first started out, I worked for a company called Prime Inc. Prime was a beautiful company. They had beautiful trucks, but their pay was garbage. And they sold us on the lease program. Now, the lease program, they give you this spiel like you're an owner operator, but you don't own shit. It's their truck. They already paid for it. And by the time you get through leasing it, you paid for it twice. And at the end of that time, they're going to expect for you to give them a balloon payment, something outrageous that you will not be able to afford. And you won't be able to get the truck. Another thing when you do the lease program, starting out your first few loads, man, it'll be great. You'll get a $5,000 load the first time. You might be going from St. Louis to Florida. You'll say, oh, this is great. This is good money. If I keep doing it, you start counting and adding up your money. But what ends up happening, you'll get a load going from that same place, from St. Louis to Florida. It may pay you $800. And your dispatcher will tell you something like this. Well, when you get to Florida, I'll give you a better load getting out of there. Coming out of there, it's the same thing. And they're going to give you the same spiel. But what's going to happen is you're going to end up being in what they call the hole. You're going to start owing money. And you'll be upside down. And then you'll become a slave to the truck. So I just gave you a brief. That's something brief. If you want more and you want more detail, get in the comments. I'll be more than happy to give you, my knowledge on what it is. And that my thing, what I would say, let's say you want to do fuel. Go get your hazmat, get your tankers. You're going to make some good money. You're going to get paid weekly. Promise you'll enjoy that. Because if you do everything else and then find out about the fuel, by that time you're going to be burnt out on the trucking game. So if you start out and you want to make some good money and you want to like what you're doing, start out with the fuel hauling companies. They are, especially if you're in California. Start out with the fuel companies. Now, a lot of them want you to have over-the-road experience. You know what I mean? Some of them want 2 years, some of them want 1. But you might get lucky. I got lucky. Get out there, man. And if you got a good mouthpiece on you, get in there and talk to some of these people. But what you don't want to do is go to these lease companies and those CPM. CPM is cent per mile. You don't want those. You don't want the percentage of the load. You don't want that. You'll become a slave to the truck. If they're not paying you hourly, don't go for them. Now, you got to do that in the beginning to get your feet wet and get your experience. You got to pay your dues. But you don't want to get into a company that's paying you CPM or giving you a percentage of the load. You don't want that to be your career. You're going to hate trucking because you're going to be away from your family most of the time. Now, you don't want to trade time for money. Never do that. But my suggestion to the new CDL applicants, get out there and find out exactly what it is you want to do. Car hauling, that's a trade skill. You got companies like Toyota. I worked for Tesla for the past 7 years, and they pay very good, and they paid out. Took me up out of my commission. By the time I left Tesla, I was up to $50 an hour. Now, that ship is sailing. They don't have it no more. But you want to get in where you fit in. So find out exactly what it is you want to do and get out there and get it. I suggest fuel. If you do the fuel, you'll thank me later. Now, if you got any questions or you got comments, let me know what it is. I'll do a follow-up. Whatever questions you guys have, put it in the comment section, and I'll be glad to help you out. Especially if it's a specific question or a specific company you want to know about, because I've been through all of them. So let me know, man. We talking shop with Old School, and I'm gonna holler at y'all. Peace.
Tune into that Let's Talk Shop with that Old School.